The Red Eye. Don't worry, I'm not infected. But this book might tell you more about that. And it is The Last Wild, written by Piers Torday. This is an adventure book that spans across the sort of barren earth, I suppose, if you will. So we'll take a look at it, have a look at the plot, and then we'll come back and I'll let you know what I thought. The Last Wild. The Last Wild. This is a story about a boy named Kester. Now Kester begins the story in a institution for children with behaviour issues, or corrections. Basically, he's a prisoner. You see, Kester can't speak. Well, he can speak, but he chooses not to speak to people. And this happened ever since his mother unfortunately passed away. So he's held on this island in this institution for children. And he soon finds out that he has this very special ability to him. You see, he can talk to vermin, things like cockroaches and pigeons. And he can actually talk to them, which is extraordinary and quite a surprise for himself as well. You see, actually, in this world that Kester lives in, all the animals have contracted a terrible virus which is called Red Eye, because in the final stage of this terrible virus, the animal will contract red eye. Now, the people of the world are so concerned about this that they have abandoned the countrysides and have moved to big cities to avoid getting this virus called red eye. But the only creatures that have survived are things like vermin, rats, pigeons, cockroaches, those kinds of things. And Kester soon finds out that he can talk to them, which is very interesting actually. And this leads him to escape the island, to leave the island with the help of his new friends, the pigeons and the cockroach. And they take him to a place where actually some animals have survived. You see, most of the animals have died due to this terrible virus called red eye. And then the humans, the institutions, have gone around trying to wipe out the rest of the animals so that this virus won't spread. But Kester gets taken to a place where there are some animals left, and he is met by the stag. And from there, he goes on a huge adventure with the stag and his new vermin animal friends. He meets new friends on his quest to save the world from red eye. And that is the story of The Last Wild. The Last Wild. It's got quite a lot of praise at the moment, and I can see why. This is a really good book. It's just good storytelling. It is a great mix that you find in especially children's books that are very good, of this kind of a sense of adventure. You've got this boy Kester who's roaming across the countryside. You've got a bit of humour in there from Kester himself, as well as the other supporting characters, including some of the animals and vermin that he meets on the way. You've got a sort of a smattering of almost magic special abilities in the way that he can talk to animals. But underpinning everything is actually quite a deep idea and a deep story that relates to the real world. This idea that the world's animals could disappear. And that just lends itself, it gives it something for the reader, me, to think about. And I really enjoyed that. The story is told really well, and it's got, as I mentioned there, a great balance of those different aspects. The main character Kester is really interesting because he can only speak to animals, so he acts as a sort of go-between between the sort of vermin and animal world and the other humans that he meets on his way. And that becomes really interesting, especially the parts where he needs to speak to humans, but he can't. The characters are great in that sense. I really like the characters, Kester and the girl he meet, and the girl later on, but also the animal characters and the vermin characters. They are very sort of, they take on their own personalities, I suppose, and you start questioning at points, actually remembering that these are animals, and thinking, wow, actually no, I've taken those characters on, and they are real life, almost people in this book, and I suppose that lends itself really well to the actual storyline. So it's great storytelling. I think it's a really good first book. Now I believe that there is a second book in this. So I'm not normally one to go into series of books. I quite like self-contained books where it's just one. But actually I'm really tempted. I probably will read the next one because I like this as a story. There are a few issues in it, I think, like there are in every good storytelling book. The ending gets it loses a little bit of its pace at the end, I feel. But that's a very minor thing. I think you don't often come across books like this for this age range that has a really good balance of storytelling, fun, but also some powerful ideas sort of underpinning the whole story. And I think that's the mark of a good book. So if you're looking for a book, make The Last Wild your next page. So until next time, keep reading, keep having fun, and I'll see you in the next video.